Well, there was a lot of great information contained within this chapter. Luckily, though, not as many of the big bombs that have been dropped in the last few, so I was able to breathe.
One Piece, Chapter 433, The Name of That Sea.
The amount of information that we've received in the last few chapters has, for me, just been wonderful to take in, but, man, also making my head spin, you know, mind-boggling as well, so... Well, hello, my brothers and sisters of the Nerd Nation. I, as always, am Jim, here to bring you another review on the awesome, action-packed, information-heavy tale that is One Piece. Now, in the last chapter, as far as I was concerned, some major bombs were dropped. We were reunited, or at least Luffy was, with not only his grandfather, we found out as Monkey D. Garp, the Vice Admiral of the Navy. He was also reunited with Kobe and Helmut Po. Helmut Po I don't care so much about, but Kobe was pretty cool as he was one of the first characters that we ever saw. And of course, Luffy, you know, had helped him back and rescued him from Alvida's ship. And just everything in a lot of ways is coming full circle now. Wonderful, wonderfully done. And then, of course, we found out about the four emperors, Shanks and Whitebeard being two of them, and that Monkey D. Dragon is actually Luffy's father, and the leader of the Revolutionary Army. So all that shit happened, like, in just the last chapter. So that's how things left off, though. Things wind up picking up over here, and this is actually, it's pretty cool. It was, you still get a lot of information, but things backed off a little bit and allowed you to kind of catch a bit of a breather. So, anyway, Garp winds up telling him, he says, listen, you're my grandson, so I'm just going to tell the Navy, whatever, even though you're a pirate, I'm not taking you in. And then somebody's like, no, we'll just tell him we couldn't find him, sir. That's, you know, that's a better answer, right? And he's like, whatever, anyway, that's fine. He goes, I just came here mainly for these two, because they wanted to see you, you know, Kobe and Helmut Po. And, so, you know, so I'm going to take off now. And Luffy just kind of nonchalantly shrugs it off, and he's just like, so then Garp gets pissed and hits him, and he's like, what the hell, what do you mean, just... Okay, don't you want to see your long-lost brand? You haven't seen me in so long. And Luffy's like, all you ever did was punch me. And he's like, it doesn't mean that I don't still want the love and gratitude of a grandson. Anyway, Luffy winds up going off and talking with Kobe and Helmut Po. And we find out that Nami wound up going and changing into a swimsuit to Sanji's delight to go into the Galila pool, which is, I guess, located behind Galila headquarters, right? Well, Nami's back there sitting, chilling, looking hot. You're getting your fan service TNA where she's sitting there half naked, and she's actually like wiretapping the conversation that Luffy is having with Kobe and Helmut Po, trying to gain some information and some insight into just some of their government affairs, because Luffy and Helmut Po, they're just Luffy and Kobe are kind of sharing stories, right, of what happened since last they talked, and Luffy, you know, about how they came up on Reverse Mountain and everything else. And he's like, oh, did you go that way too? And Kobe says, no. The Navy, right, has these on their battleships. They actually just go right across the Calm Belt. And I'm thinking, okay, because they're huge warships, the Sea Kings just won't bother them, or they won't fuck with them, whatever. Well, we wind up finding out that there's sea prisms actually attached to their ships, right? And we wind up finding out the Navy is, you know, they're pretty sharp. They got some great scientists working for them, because obviously they came up with that and found out that what that does is then gives the Sea Kings the sense that it's just part of the energy of the sea moving and not actually a foreign entity that they need to destroy or kill. So the Navy comes and goes as they please through the Calm Belt, right? Which is obviously good information to have. We also find out that this this doctor of the Navy is one of them that is the doctor that's probably, I'm assuming he's like the mad scientist one, always trying these new things. He's the one that figured out a lot of different things about devil fruits, but most notably that you could take and feed a devil fruit to an inanimate object, right? So obviously we've seen a couple of those in the sword, of course, that became an elephant that was Spandam's, as well as Mr. Four's dog that was actually like a baseball shooter cannon thingy. So obviously it was like some kind of cannon or whatever first, some kind of ball firing cannon, and then it was fed a devil fruit and turned into a dog. So all that information, again, for me, that's great. You know, for some people, they don't care. They push up, who gives a shit about it? But to me, all those little details are what makes the sum of this big picture that we're looking at. And all these little details and attention to detail, I think, are great. And honestly, I've been a little bit disappointed in the last couple of big arcs, because that time that we get where we get some reveals in between and some big things, there wasn't as much. It went by too quickly, and then you went into the next arc. Whereas this one, I feel like we're getting a good, meaty, just amount of information. You know, very, very cool stuff. Very cool stuff. So then we go. So we obviously find out all that. You know, Kobe shares that information with Luffy and such, and then we find out too that past the red line, past the halfway point in the second half of the ocean, which obviously we know that the 4 emperors are running that shit. They got that shit unlocked. Kobe tells Luffy that that is called the New World, right? Now, having not read ahead or anything like that, I didn't know about the New World, but I have heard or seen references to the New World. I don't know, I can't remember where it was in now for the life of me, but I know that I've heard that before, so that obviously refers to whenever they get to that point in the second half of the Grand Line, the New World. So anyway, very, very cool stuff that we wind up getting there. So then we get 4 or 5 pages, or maybe, I don't know, the last half of the chapter, I guess, was really just the kind of the party that we're used to seeing, right? Everybody's getting ready and kind of barbecuing back by that pool. Sanji's got some water meat he's cooking on the grill. Of course, he mainly prepared it for Nami and Robin, you know. he's trying to mac up to Nami because she's in a bikini. But nonetheless, though, we get the kind of big party, man. The Frankie family shows up. Frankie himself is there to party with Kiwi and Mozu. And we got the giants of Elbaf, Kashi and Oimo show up. Everybody from Galilei. Everybody's partying, having a good time, drinking, just having a good time, eating meat if you're Luffy, you know. And then what winds up happening is we go and we see Robin, who's kind of standing off the side. Because you remember, this whole arc, for the most part, even though it kind of wrapped everything with the Going Merry, this arc was all about Robin. This was all about her past and everything else. And it was just so wonderfully done, man. I can't say enough good things about it. But anyway, Aokiji winds up appearing, right, to talk to her on the side. Not to attack her or anything else, just to talk to her and basically be like, what's the deal? If you would have just ran like you normally do and just left everybody, you know, to rot or whatever, see, you know, you could have got away from CP9. And it's cool because you see that she just couldn't. She just cared about them enough that she just couldn't. So even though Aokiji, I guess technically is supposed to be like a bad guy or an adversary, he was very good friends with Jaguar D. Salve, right? And when he saw that that was his dying wish, was to try to protect this young girl, he decided to kind of carry on and allow that to happen and just sort of like monitor her from a distance. But he saw all these different criminal organizations that she went through and how they all fell and she was the only one left standing. And basically that she's just kind of like a danger to herself and society around her. She never had anybody, right? So now he sees that she finally has somebody after 20 years that she can rely on, that she can care about, that she can love, and that loves her back, you know. And clearly he didn't expect, because he even said when all this happened, he figured that at Eni's lobby for her would be the closing of the chapter of Ohara, right? And then he kind of goes and he says, but I had no idea. They had no idea that the resilience and what Luffy and the Straw Hats would do going to the ends of the earth coming for their friend. He did not expect that. So then he goes and, you know, he winds up asking her, he says, so, you know, so what you should do now is make sure to prove that Ohara can live on in this and that. Kind of like a, hey, you know, with great power comes great responsibility. Go off into the world and do something now, you know? Don't make me regret my choice of leaving your ass alive, right? And Robin says, you know, I will. So I thought that was pretty cool. That was a pretty neat send-off, and then Aokiji just disappears out of nowhere. So I can see why a lot of people are kind of like, hey, he's a pretty cool dude, you know? And I know a lot of people are, oh, he's my favorite, he's my this. I don't know the other ones, the other admirals. I just know that Aokiji he's done some things. He's done some good things, he's done some bad things, he's done some questionable things, but at the end of the day, seems like he's a decent enough dude. At least at this point, he's letting them leave, right? Letting them be on their own. So, anyway, the chapter winds up wrapping, though, which I thought was pretty cool. It winds up taking us to Marijoa, and they're like, and they're going to the 5 elders. Oh, no, and somebody's trying to come give a report, you know. Oh, my God, the pirate red-haired Shanks, you know, and his crew, the red-haired pirates, they were able to break through our lines and this and that, and he's meeting to meet with Whitebeard, Edward Newgate, right? And then you see that's kind of how things leave off, and the end of the chapter is actually, it's kind of cool. It's Shanks appearing, you know, getting there. It's on the Grand Line, the New World, it says, because now we know what that is. And Pops, the red-haired says he wants to see you. Yeah, let him through. He better have brought some good booze, that little punk. And you just get a nice Whitebeard sighting over here. Now, we haven't seen these guys since before, since Long Ring, Long Land in that area, in between, and around after Skypiea and all that, or maybe it was even before that. I think it might have been right before Skypiea that we went out. Man, it's been a while. Anyway, it's been a long time coming over here, and it's going to be neat to see what shakes out with these two. I don't know if we're going to see any more. I might be saying that, and then we don't see them for another 100 or 200 chapters. But anyway, I thought that was pretty cool. We got, again, a lot of information to kind of digest and go over and go through. And I thought, all in all, it was a very good chapter, because instead of it just being the typical we're partying and Luffy stuffing his face with meat, there was actually some revelations that came to be some information that's pretty pertinent to the overall story and the overarching story of One Piece. This isn't some fly-by-night, flash-in-the-pan type of series. This is a real deal right here. This is a real deal, son. So definitely some great stuff. Now, my chapter question for you, because that's how the chapter ended off for me. My chapter question for you, brothers and sisters, is, out of all the things that have kind of been revealed in the last few chapters, or maybe even in this chapter, because we did get several bits of information, what are your thoughts? What was your favorite reveal, I guess you would say? Was it, the information about the Sea Prism Stones being used on the battleships and how they can travel back and forth at will across the Calm Belt for the Navy? Was it obviously the doctor that's working, the scientist, I guess you would say, that's working for the Navy that that learned all this stuff about devil fruits and how to feed devil fruits to inanimate objects? Was it the white beard and Shanks? Now they're meeting. They're finally meeting up in the new world. What was your favorite moment from this chapter? Or you can even go back the last couple to obviously the reveal of the grandfather being Monkey D. Garp, or Monkey D. Dragon being his father. Those sort of things. Just want to know what your feelings and thoughts are, and what some of your favorite moments are as we're kind of bridging from one great arc to hopefully the next. Let me know what your answer to that question is in the comments down below. Feel free to hit the thumbs up, the like button if you should think that I deserve it, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. We will look forward to catching all of you in the next one, Nation. As always, thanks for watching, and remember to take a look at my other channels as well.